welcome back to my channel Endless Pages. I'm Liv and I have a book buying problem, if you cannot tell. So I've been seeing a couple of months ago people doing this book tag called "These books will self-destruct in 12 months," and I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, it was originally created by Becca and the Books. So basically the idea of this tag is if you have books sitting on your shelves that have been sitting there for so long and you haven't read them, a lot of these I haven't even thought about for years. They're just going to sit there gathering dust, and if I don't read them in the next 12 months they need to go off the shelves. Because of my book buying addiction, I am running out of space really quickly, and my thought is, if these books are just sitting there and I haven't even thought about them, they're taking up space, and taking up space of books that I actually love and would love to display. A lot of these I've noticed have just been shoved down the bottom of my shelf, so that's not a good sign. That just means that I want them out of sight. So if I don't read these books in the next 12 months, they're getting donated. So first up on my list is This Is a Dress Show by Anna Carey. I think I purchased this book because it kind of gave me the Truman Show vibes, if you know that movie. If you know that movie, it's a really popular movie, everyone knows that movie, where you don't really know that your reality is not real. And this is a young adult book, my favourite of course, and it's set in 1998, and basically you just follow our main character in a typical kind of high school setting. She's got drama with her friends and her life and her relationships, and her younger sister is really sick and constantly getting worse. And then one day she notices kind of this black thing drop out of her friend's bag, and it's what she describes as a black kind of box with a little Apple logo on it. It's an iPhone, but obviously it's 98, so the iPhone hasn't been invented yet. So I think it's basically about her realizing that her life may not actually be what she thinks it is. I think I started to pick this up a couple of years ago and I wasn't enjoying it, and the reason I don't automatically DNF some books is because I'm a mood reader and maybe I just wasn't in the mood. I think I can tell the difference between I'm really hating this book and I'm just not in the mood to read it. So I definitely do want to give it another chance. I've literally never seen, I don't think I've ever seen anyone talk about this book, so that's kind of giving me like red flags, like that it's not a good book. But I'm willing to give it one more shot before I chuck it, because, you know, in case I love it, because the plot does sound really intriguing and interesting, and I love the Truman Show, the movie, so, and I love Black Mirror as well, so maybe it'll be worth it. I hope so. If not, it's going out. Next up is Law by Alexander Bracken. I think I bought this book because I loved the Dark Mind series. It's definitely a great book series, and when I purchased this I hadn't read anything kind of Greek mythology. I think I purchased this in the year that it was published. Let me check. I can't remember when it was published. Oh, 2021. Or is just that when this edition was created? Okay, it's not that old. But it's been sitting on my shelves and I haven't really thought about it since. I've heard very mixed things about this book series as well. I know Becca from Bewitched Bex read this. She did a video, I'll tag it, it's a great video. She did a video where she read all the finalists for the Goodreads awards, and this was one of the books, and I know that she wasn't a fan, so that kind of worries me a little bit. I couldn't tell you the plot of this book either. I don't think I looked at the plot before I purchased it. I just purchased it because it was hyped at the time. So it looks like Greek gods. So every 7 years the Agon begins. As punishment for a past rebellion, 9 Greek gods are forced to walk the earth as mortals. They're hunted by their descendants of ancient bloodlines, all eager to kill a god and seize their divine power and immortality. Long ago, Law Perseus fled the brutal world, turning her back on the hunt's promises of eternal glory after her family was murdered by a rival line. For years she's pushed away any thought of revenge against the man, now a god, responsible for their deaths. Yet, as the next hunt dawns over New York City, 2 participants seek her out: Castor, a childhood friend Law believed to be dead, and Athena, one of the last original gods, now gravely wounded. The goddess offers Law an alliance against their mutual enemy and a way to leave the Agon behind forever. Law's decision to rejoin the hunt, binding her fate to Athena's, will come at a deadly cost, and it may not be enough to stop the rise of a new god with the power to bring humanity to its knees. So, like, the plot really does intrigue me, but I'm worried it's not a good read, and I honestly haven't thought about this book since I purchased it. So we will see. Again, if it's not read, it's going out. The third book is Eleanor, Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. Can't tell you why I picked this up, probably hype. I don't really read contemporary books, and oh, it's part of Reese's book club, I didn't know that. I don't know the plot of this book. I really have no interest in reading it, and I was honestly just gonna chuck it out, but I want to give it a shot because I know it's a popular book. I think all I know is that it's kind of a discussion of mental health. Tell me if I'm wrong, I haven't really done my research. But yeah, I just don't really have any urges to read this book, and I don't even know if I'll pick it up in the next 12 months to even give it a shot. The fourth book is Crave by Tracy Wolff, another book I purchased because of the hype and because it was being compared to, like, you know, this is this generation's Twilight. That's literally what it says on the back, this generation's Twilight. But I don't know, I started reading this and I found it like really cringy. I think it's just about this girl and she goes to this like weird high school where she doesn't realize that like everyone there is some kind of supernatural creature. I don't know, I feel like it's just gonna be like really cringy high school setting, which I don't particularly want to read about a girl in a high school drama. The only selling point for me is that it's like supernatural, so like fantasy creatures like vampires, that still intrigues me. I still like vampires, what can I say? But yeah, I'm definitely going to give it another chance, one more chance, but if I start reading it again and cringing, then we're going to stop. Caught between warring factions, her life on the line, Grace doesn't have long to decide who she can trust, who she can love, and who she most definitely can't. Oh, if there's a love triangle, I swear to God, I'm going to DNF it straight away. I'm not a fan of love triangles. Please tell me in the comments if there's a love triangle in this. I can't stand love triangles. So the next book is a Brandon Sanderson book. I have always wanted to read Brandon Sanderson, and in the past I've been a little intimidated by adult fantasy, so I haven't picked anything up, but I did buy this book, The Final Empire, the first book in the Mistborn series, and I bought this because I know it's a popular Mistborn series, and it's literally discolored. It's been sitting on my shelf for so long. I think I definitely am going to give this a good shot because I've started reading more adult fantasy recently and finding that I'm absolutely loving it. So I think this book definitely has a better shot of being tried than a lot of these other ones here today. So basically I think this is about these people called the Scar, and they live in misery and fear. There's this guy called the Lord Ruler, and he's kind of ruled over them really cruelly for about 1,000 years, and then there's an uprising kind of starting again, giving the people hope. There is, it depends on the cunning of a brilliant criminal mastermind and the courage of an unlikely heroine, a scarce street urchin who must learn to master allomancy, the power of a Mistborn. What if the prophesized hero had failed to defeat the Dark Lord? The answer will be found here in the Mistborn trilogy. The blurb kind of excites me to read it because I do like the plot of a people that uprise against their bad, evil kind of leaders. That is a plot that I love. So I definitely think this one is going to get read in the next 12 months. The fifth book on my list is Sea Fire by Natalie C. Parker. I actually picked this book up because the plot actually intrigued me, and not like lots of the other books on my list, wasn't just a hype buy. So I think this book's about a girl called Caledonia, and her family is killed by this warlord called Arik, I think? Arik? Yeah. Arik, and then his men, which are called Bullets, and because of that she decides to be the captain of her own ship, and her crew of her ship is all women, and they've all been affected by Arik and his men. So she has, I think, just a plan to take him down, and then when her best friend and second in command barely survives an attack thanks to the help from a bullet looking to defect, so she starts questioning whether to let him join the crew, or will he threaten everything for the women on this crew and what they have worked for. I think this book has just sadly been ignored because I buy so much that some of the older stuff just gets pushed to the side and forgotten about. It's not from lack of wanting to read this book. I think it's just I bought so many newer ones, so many more popular ones that are just more a priority, that this one's just kind of been sadly forgotten and left at the side. But maybe I'll add it to a TBR soon. Book number 6 is The Gilded Ones by Namina Fauna. This is a young adult book. I will read the blurb quickly because I really couldn't tell you what it's about. So this is about a girl called Decca, who is 16 years old. She lives in fear and anticipation of the blood ceremony that will determine whether she becomes a member of her village. But her blood runs gold, not red, which kind of means she's impure and means that she will face consequences worse than death. Then this mysterious woman turns up to the village and gives her a choice: stay and submit to her fate, or fight for the empire in a army of girls just like her. They're called Alakai, near immortals with rare gifts, and they are the only ones who can stop the empire's greatest threat. Knowing the dangers that lie ahead, yet yearning for acceptance, Decca decides to leave the only life she's ever known. But after she journeys to the capital to train for the biggest battle of her life, she will discover that the great walled city holds many surprises. Nothing and no one are quite what they seem to be, not even Decca herself. Again, like Seafire, I think this sadly got pushed to the side because I had books that I prioritized over this, but I think this might be a little bit of a hidden gem, and I know it's a really good book. Well, I've heard people say that it's a really good book. And yeah, I believe the sequel's coming out as well, or is it already out? I'm not sure. But I'm very intrigued by the plot. It sounds right up my alley. This next book, the plot sounds so cool, and that is The Gracier, and this is by Kim Liggett, but I've heard mixed stuff which makes me a bit worried. So, but it sounds really cool. I think it's about these girls that live in this really isolated village, and at the age of 16 they are banished to the wilderness to live 1 year and survive each other. And they're kind of expected to rid themselves of this dangerous magic and be pure before they return to the village. When they return to the village, they're expected to be ready to marry off. Everyone knows what the Gracier is, but no one is allowed to talk about it and talk about their experiences going through it. Book number 9 is All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. This is a young adult fantasy book, the first in the series of the same name. Again, I don't really know the plot of this book. This whole video is just me reading blurbs off the back. Whoops. So our main character is the princess of the island kingdom Visidia. Her name's Amora, and she spent her entire life training to be the High Animancer, the Master of Souls. The rest of the realm can choose their magic, but to secure her place as heir to the throne, Amora must master the monarchy's dangerous soul magic. And her demonstration goes wrong and she's forced to flee. She strikes a deal with Bastian, a mysterious pirate. Ooh, kind of sounds a little enemies to lovers. He'll help her prove she's fit to rule if she'll help him reclaim his stolen magic. Sailing the kingdom holds more wonder and more peril than Amora anticipated. Destructive new magic is on the rise, and if she's to conquer it, she'll need to face legendary monsters, cross paths with vengeful mermaids, and deal with the stowaway she never expected. Or risk the fate of Visidia and lose the crown forever. I don't know, I have mixed feelings about this plot. I don't know if it's going to be up my alley. I just kind of got it because it was YA fantasy, but I don't know if I'll vibe with it. I don't know why I picked this up. The blurb like hasn't super drawn me in, being like, oh my god, I have to read this. So yeah, we will see about this one. The last book is Girl, Serpent, Thorne. This is another one like All the Stars and Teeth, where I'm like, the plot, I don't know if it's my thing. I think it's about a girl and she's a princess, and she's like poisonous to the touch, and she's spent her whole life hidden away from everyone except her family. But that's about to change because her brother is engaged to be married, and she has to kind of decide whether to stay hidden away or come out into the limelight. And there's a demon that's like trapped in the castle below that knows about her and her power and has the knowledge she craves and the answer to her freedom. And then also she meets this guy who is not really afraid of her, and she starts to question who she is and who she's becoming, a human or a demon. The only thing that I would be sad about giving away this book is that the cover is really pretty and I like it. Maybe, you know what, maybe it was a cover buy, maybe that's why I have this book. It's starting to make sense now. So there we have it. Those are the 10 books that will self-destruct in 12 months if I do not read them. I have a feeling I'm going to try a lot of those and hate them. I wasn't vibing with a lot of the blurbs just then when I was reminding myself what the books were about. So we will see. Hopefully that means that I will free up a lot of space on my shelves. Let me know in the comments what books have been on your shelves and have been neglected for a very long time. And let me know if you've read any of the books that I talked about today. Let me know if they're worth it, if I should actually pick them up, or if I should just ignore this challenge and just get rid of them all. Thank you so much for watching. All of my socials are in the comments, and I will see you in whatever I post next. Bye!